Hello everybody, happy Sunday. Happy last meditation of 2025 for us here. At the end of the year, I like to go back and look through all the intentions just quickly and just kind of like look at them all at a glance. So yeah, that's always a fun thing. So yeah, it's been a wild few weeks. If you were here with us last week, we had some glitches, and then just wasn't working out. So I was like, okay, gonna take the cue and we're gonna reconvene next week. At some point when I was talking, the live stream cut out last week. So I was talking for, honestly, I'm not sure how long after it actually cut out, because on my end it looked like it was still going, and then I got a message from somebody saying, hey, the live stream isn't going anymore, so I tried to jump back on, I restarted it, we got back on, and then if you were here, you realized that you saw that I started coughing uncontrollably, and I had a couple times where I tried to get that under handle, and it just wasn't happening. I always have a cup of tea with me for the meditation, for the live stream, because talking for an hour, trying to talk loud enough and project my voice and stuff like that, I probably just don't know the right way to use the vocal cords or whatever for that. So my voice always gets a little sore and a little bit scratchy, and sometimes it'll make me cough just a little bit. But honestly, I'm going to tell you where I goofed last week. So not only did we have the technical glitches, but the tea that I usually have has mullein leaf in it. And if you have ever worked with loose leaf mullein, then you know that if you're going to make a tea with it, you have to strain these little teeny hairs that come out of it. And I do that. Like I said, I have this in my tea pretty much at least every week here, and then sometimes in between. So I'm really familiar with the process of straining it through. I use a coffee filter and making sure you get all those little hairs. Last week I had an extra cup of tea, so I started drinking it a little bit earlier than usual because my throat was a little bit sore. So then I went to go get a refill right before meditation started. And what I did was I just took the same container that I had warmed water up in, and I warmed more water up in it without thinking about how I had brewed the tea. So I had steeped the mullein leaf in the water and made the tea in this container without washing it. So I heated more water in the glass container and then poured the water into my tea, and I'm assuming that there were little hairs that were in the tea. So they ended up in here, and those can be really, really irritating to your throat. I actually had a really sore throat the rest of the night, and then I was fine the next morning, and that's what made me think oh, I think I know what happened. So yeah, glitches all the way around, and then we had a couple other weeks that were off there. So yeah, here we are back. I'm just gonna double check and check the live stream, because that feels like something that I should be doing here really quick. Yeah, okay, it looks like we are live and ready to go, just because we had those glitches last week. So I just want to double check. If anybody's there and you want to say, hey, yeah, we're here, then feel free to go ahead and do that. But if not, that's okay too. All right, so that's last week. We're moving on to this week, and by the time we meet again, we'll be moving on to 2026. So let's go ahead and get our intention up here, shall we? Intention for the week. Practical sensitivity aligns. Practical sensitivity aligns. So take just a moment to sit with those words. See how it feels, see what it brings up for you. Anything it makes you think, anything it makes you want to move towards, move away from, any feelings, emotions. I think this is a good one for the end of the year. I see a lot and hear a lot about ending the year soft. And I feel like we have an invitation to end the year very motivated, but also in a very soft space at the same time. So we're going to go ahead and talk about those things. We have a full moon in the sign of Cancer this week. Mercury moves into the sign of Capricorn, so it's going to join the lineup of planets that we have there. And then before it does that, it's going to go ahead, Mercury squares Saturn, and it squares Neptune. We break all these transits down in their entirety in the weekly video. So that was released yesterday on YouTube. Intentions are always released on Fridays, usually pretty late in the day Friday, so that way you can have it ahead of the weekly vote video or at least alongside of it. And just contemplate the intention. See what comes up as you move through the weekly video and just connecting it to your own life. And then we come here to this space where we meditate on it and we bring it all together into a space of quiet contemplation. So, sitting with this intention for just a moment here. Practical sensitivity aligns. Practical sensitivity aligns. Okay, let's go ahead and switch over to the time clock, so that way we can take a look at these transits and map them out here really quick together. I'm going to go ahead and start out by pointing out that we have currently in the sign of Capricorn, we have Venus, Sun, and Mars. Look how close those planets are getting close to each other. You can see it in the 6th house in this chart here. As the week goes on, Mercury is going to move into the sign of Capricorn, and it's going to join that lineup. But before it does, let's go ahead and watch what Mercury does. Mercury's in the 5th house in the sign of Sagittarius in this chart here. So right now it's at 24 degrees of Sagittarius. If we go ahead and move forward a couple days here, really it's going to be in the middle of the day here on Tuesday. So if I just back up a couple hours here, we're going to see that Mercury moves through the square with Saturn from the sign of Sagittarius to the sign of Pisces. Now these are both Jupiter signs. If we go ahead and move forward to like a day later, we will see that Mercury is then going to make the square to Neptune just before it moves into the sign of Capricorn. And then if we move forward into, so now we have 4 planets in the sign of Capricorn, and that is going to start to set us up for the full moon. You can see that the moon is in the sign of Cancer here at this point. This is Friday afternoon around 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. And then if we move it forward to like 5 a.m. Saturday, we get the full moon that comes through at 13 degrees of Cancer. You can see that in the 8th house in this chart, where the sun is in opposition in the 2nd house. Full moons are always when the sun and the moon are in opposition to each other. Notice how close Venus and Mars are to the sun, getting slightly closer. We are a degree away for both of those planets. The moon is moving into a conjunction with Jupiter. It's a loose conjunction, but with the moon, you could definitely use that 10-degree range. So we could definitely say that the moon is applying to a conjunction with Jupiter here at the time of the full moon. So these are the aspects that we're focusing on. This is what we're looking at here going on this week. And when I look at our intention for this week here, I'm going to go ahead and bring myself back up here. When I look at the intention for this week, practical sensitivity aligns. If we look at just the full moon, the sun, along with all of the other personal planets, are in the sign of Capricorn, the place of Saturn, Saturn's earthly feminine domain, where there's much focus on building towards the future, climbing the mountains, goal-oriented, focusing on whatever is at hand, moving forward towards that, right? Building structures, building foundations, but building them in a tangible way. There's a lot of sensitivity in the sign of Cancer. The moon in the sign of Cancer is very nurturing, very loving, and very caring. Maybe not always loving, but would like to think that it can be very, very loving. There can be a lot of looking for safe space in the sign of Cancer. We get a lot of sensitive subjects of origin in the places of which we've come from. We have our own memory body and our own origins and our own personal history, as well as that of where we've come from. Excuse me. The history as far as where we've come from of what has come before us. So we get our ancestors, we get past lives and things like that that can come up here as well. Excuse me. So there's a lot of sensitivity built into the full moon in the sign of Cancer, and it comes at a time especially when we have so many planets in the sign of Capricorn, where there's a lot of motivation. There's a lot of motivation to build and to start and to initiate. We see that this time of year with New Year's being right around the corner, right? We make our resolutions, people start new habits, and they want to jump full force into new lifestyles. Maybe they get a little overly ambitious and they like either bite off more than they can chew, or it's not quite realistic, right? With all of these planets in the sign of Capricorn, there's a lot of that motivation and drive to start and initiate, or to keep climbing the mountain, or to take the steps to move forward. Things like that. I also see this with Mercury's process that it goes through this week. So first it hits the square to Saturn, then it hits the square to Neptune. So first, Mercury is squeezed a little bit, right? It's constricted, it's slowed down. It's asked to listen in a place of contraction versus a place of expansion. Saturn may be asking Mercury to be a little bit more practical within a space that has a lot of ambition, and Saturn is in a place that has a lot of emotionality to it. So asking for practicality, which is what Saturn likes to do within its own right. We see that in the sign of Capricorn, and we're going to see that through the square to Mercury here. But Saturn isn't in a great place to create a whole lot of structure that doesn't have an emotional component to it. So there's a lot of personal investment. There's a lot about the inspiration and the ambition that comes from fire in the sign of Sagittarius, and the understandings of beliefs. It's still Jupiter's sign. And Saturn in the sign of Pisces that is looking for a emotional connection. So slow down. Is this real? Is this superficial? Is it fake? Or is there a deeper emotional connection? Do we feel what is going on within our brains, within our minds, right? The different conversations that we have, is there an emotional depth to them? So slowing us down and really looking to see if we can find the meaning in whatever Mercury and Sagittarius is doing. Mercury and Sag, being Jupiter's sign and being a fire sign of looking into these broader horizons, think about the archer and the arrow that shoots, that has a direction, but it goes very far. It has a lot of distance at the same time. There's a big potential for Mercury in the sign of Sagittarius to get a little grandiose and to really just kind of start spinning into a lot of ideas and a lot of ambitious energy of wanting to experience a lot of things and bring a lot of things in, but maybe not getting down to the deeper level of it. So Saturn, the square from Mercury to Saturn, may say, okay, let's slow down a little bit and see how practical this really is, or just how emotionally invested we are in it. Is this something that we really should be pursuing, or are we pursuing it just because the fire caught us at the right moment, right? Kind of like that. So really just kind of slowing us down to see if we can see all of the things. That's the first part that we see. And then just after Mercury is kind of squeezed a little bit and act to show this practical part, then it comes into the contact with Neptune, where if Saturn can squeeze us and constrict us, Neptune can expand us in a way that can either increase the potentiality of the energy that is around us and increase the connection and deepen the sensitivity in the connection, or if there's something that maybe has shown with Saturn that needs to fall away, needs to be released, Saturn can represent in death and decay and releasing things within its own right, then maybe Neptune gives us that energy that allows something to just kind of dissolve or fall away, or it dissipates like fog does, right? Something that unravels because it is no longer serving us the way that it should be or is supposed to be, or something kind of like that. So I see this process with Mercury this week where it's asked to be practical, it's asked to slow down, but it's also asked to be sensitive at the same time. Contacts with Neptune, especially from Mercury, the messenger, the planet of our mind, can bring us otherworldly messages and otherworldly information where we are tapping into other realms or other streamlines that maybe maybe we're not always quite so sensitive to, right? Kind of like that. So if we slow down, if we contract, and if we see maybe what really isn't serving so great, then we can move into that place of expansion with Neptune. And maybe if there's something that did show its face that needs to dissolve or release, then we can go ahead and do that too. And then Mercury moves into the sign of Capricorn. And it moves into the space where it's going to help participate in a process. This really amplifies that Capricorn energy within our chart, and really looking at the house topics of where Cancer or Capricorn falls within your own chart, the axis across Cancer, Capricorn for sure, but Capricorn definitely. And seeing what's shifting there, seeing what's changing there, and where you can see a process, an initiatory process where things are releasing and making way for something new. This is the alignment that I see coming through here. If Mercury coming into the square with Saturn asks us to be practical, and then the square to Neptune asks us to be sensitive, then Mercury moves into the sign of Capricorn, and it aligns with the other personal planets. It aligns with Mercury, it aligns with Mars, it aligns with the Sun. It aligns with the full moon, right, in opposition with the moon. And it also aligns in opposition to the ruler of Sagittarius, where it has been, also where the lunar cycle started for us. This full moon, when it comes through here, I'm looking at a safety within a space of creation. Both Cancer and Capricorn are cardinal signs. So they are signs that like to initiate and start things, although they start and initiate different things. Cancer is the place of the moon. It's the place of the womb and the place of birth. So it initiates water. It's the cardinal water sign. It initiates life, right? So you have the life-giving waters. You literally have the womb and the placenta in the moon and in the sign of Cancer. In the sign of Capricorn, you have Saturn. You have earthly Saturn that wants to start and initiate things that are going to stand the test of time, right? Things that are not going to easily be washed away as the wind comes and blows them down. We're building houses out of brick rather than out of sticks here, right? As long as we are slowing down. So the alignment, what is aligning, right? Where do you see a reconfiguration within your life here? A lot of us are contemplating this type of thing at the end of the year. So this might just kind of feel like it falls in line for some of us there too. I'm looking at really deepening our emotional and sensitive connection to things, right? I thought about this process as when you go to the yoga class and we're gonna get back to the basics. We're gonna slow down, right? We're not gonna go through before we go through the big flow, we're gonna slow down and we're gonna revisit the basics of downward facing dog. We're gonna revisit exactly what tabletop position entails, right? So that way, when we move through the flow, we can connect in that Neptunian way where we are flowing with the energy, we are flowing with the moves, and the life force is flowing in and out of all of us here. It's making sure you take the time to prep for the vacation that you are taking, so that way you are fully prepared and you don't have to worry about stopping and running to the store. You can just move through the flow state of the vacation, and you already have all the snacks and all the right clothes, and you have all of your tickets bought, and whatever else the other things are. So we get slowing down, being practical, but also making a space for that sensitivity. I'm making sure that I am buying the snacks that I need for this trip, so that way we can enjoy ourselves completely, not to be overindulgent, right? Kind of like that there. So, the need to pause, slow down, see what maybe we need to put down to be able to focus on this recentering process that is going to be coming up. We're going to be talking about this next week for sure, because that's where the conjunction comes in. So slowing down, aligning, seeing what mountains really are worth climbing, right? Because all these planets in Capricorn are going to be climbing some mountains and they're going to be initiating some things. After they move through the sign of Capricorn, they're going to move into the sign of Pluto or sign of Aquarius. And who's sitting in the beginning of Aquarius? Yeah, I just said it, Pluto. So this initiatory process is quite a process of transformation, and it ends with this conjunction of these planets coming into contact with Pluto too. So that is something for us to just keep in the back of our minds that we will be looking at here in a few weeks here. So when I pulled for the cards for today, they of course aligned perfectly. So we get the 10 of Candles. So this is my Nightmare Before Christmas deck. The 10 of Candles is equivalent to the 10 of Wands, so it's the fire element. It came in the reverse position. So we have the 10 of Candles or the 10 of Wands. I really love this deck, but it was in the reverse position. Another card that popped up right with it was the Lovers. So you have Jack and Sally there from Nightmare Before Christmas. That one came in the upright position. So I think this falls in line perfectly with our intention that we're bringing through for this week here. So the 10 of Candles, when you see the 10 of Wands, there's a big burden that has been there, right? There's a weight, or there's something that we've been carrying, and it's time to put it down. Either it's coming to a completion, our effort that we need has been put in, or we're carrying a burden that maybe is something that we don't necessarily need to be carrying. When it's in the reverse position, I see an invitation to let go, to release that burden, or to say, your effort is complete. We can release that card now, right? It's pushing away from us, or it's leaving and it's moving itself away from it. If we're resisting, then maybe we're holding on to the burden a little bit longer than we need to, and we're drudging through in that Saturnian Capricorn type way that doesn't have the meaning, it doesn't have the connection to it. So some sort of insurmountable effort or task that is there. Is it worth it? Is it draining all of your energy? That's the Mercury-Saturn square coming through. And then the Lovers coming through, creating a balance, creating some sort of unity and flow, working together. That can be the square to Neptune, or I really see that in the full moon, in the opposition between Capricorn and Cancer here that we get with the full moon. Because, when you get on any axis across the zodiac, you get two signs that are very different from each other, but they share some commonalities, right? So Capricorn and Cancer are both feminine signs. However, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn and Cancer is ruled by the moon. So you have life and you have death. You have birth and memory and accumulating things, and then you have letting go and releasing things into the beyond, into the boundary. So you get this oppositional this dance between opposites that we see all over the zodiac. We see it throughout all of the transits. We see it throughout all of the placements and the domicile schemes, and all of the rules and things that are behind astrology here. And I really see us trying to strike that balance here with the new moon, or with the full moon in the sign of Cancer here. Allowing the balance and trying to find, trying to not let that pendulum swing too far to one end. The 10 of Candles moves into an extreme of effort, an extreme of exertion. But there's a recalibration that is at foot, that is coming in our direction here, right? And Mercury is going to participate in that. So maybe it needs to let go of something to be able to find that balance, to have the Lovers come together, have that masculine and that feminine energy coming together in their own way, right? The masculine and the feminine uniting, life and death uniting, practicality and sensitivity aligning and coming together. There's a lot of practicality in this week. We have lots of Capricorn energy going on. We have a lot of Saturn going on, but there's also a lot of sensitivity. The full moon is in a water sign, in the sign of Cancer. Jupiter's there, giving us a little extra maybe a little extra motherly love, you know, like the great mother energy that is there. And then we come to a point of balance at the full moon where, you know, the light has grown to its highest peak, right? So the light of the moon is not lacking. It's balancing. It's full. It's in between the waxing and the waning. So that's when the pendulum is right here in the center as far as the lunar cycle goes. And then it slowly starts to move towards one end, and then we come back to a balance at the new moon where there's no light, and then we swing the other way, and then we come back. You can think of it that way with the new moon and the full moon, and then the processes in between. So yeah, cool things, cool energy of, like I said right in the beginning, you know, this might be a good motivation to end the year motivated, end it with goals, end it with things that we want to move towards, but also with a softness, right? The mountains that we're climbing, are they worth it? Do we have an emotional connection to it? You know, what we are building, is there a purpose behind what we are building here? We need that practical sensitivity to align so we can fill the earthly and the spiritual aspect of whatever it is that is going on and what we want to bring into our new year here. So yeah, that's what I see here for this week. And then yeah, it really feels like trying to find a balance. So the 10 of Candles in the reverse, you don't need to put in so much effort that you bring yourself to the brink of death. Right? You don't need to empty every last little drop out of your cup. However, you should probably still keep the water moving from the cup and keep pouring from it so that, and you know, replenishing it at the same time. I think finding practices that can help avoid that pendulum swinging from one extreme to the other is really, really beneficial here this week. So, you know, maybe looking at practical resolutions or habits or plans that we can really feel good about is a good way to look at some of this here for this week. So with that being said, we'll get ready to move into the meditation portion of our session. All right, I'm going to go ahead and leave the intention up for just a moment so you can take a look at that once more. Practical sensitivity aligns. Practical sensitivity aligns. Practical sensitivity aligns. All right, I'm going to go ahead and move the intention, and then you see our table that we have here. We have our white candle, as always, purity, cleansing, really wanting to create a blank slate for you to create whatever it is that you need to bring into this space. I give you a lot of information that I hope is really good and really helpful here at this space. I give you the intention, I give you the weekly video. Now the goal is that I want to create a space for you to cultivate what you need to cultivate. I have several feminine statues on here. I have my Mother Mary statues that I have been working closely with because I've had them on my Advent space, but now that Christmas has come and passed, I've moved them along. I have my crucifix here as well, and then I have this newer triple goddess that I've been working with. I really, really like these three statues because they're all separate. So you have the maid, the maiden, and the crone, right? But they're all individual statues, so you can mix and mingle them, where like the other ones that I've had have been like one, the three statues like all underneath a tree on one, and you could like kind of turn it maybe to focus on them. So yeah, that's what I have on my space, as well as some different crystals and things like that that I've been using. So yeah, let's go ahead and move into the meditation portion. I'm going to light the intentional candle, and as I do so, I'm going to recite our intentional phrase. And I encourage you to say the phrase with me in any capacity that you're able to. So whether that's saying it out loud, saying it in your head, writing it down, whatever works for you. So practical sensitivity aligns. The flame ignites. As the flame ignites, it begins to grow. As the flame grows, so does our intention. Practical sensitivity aligns. Practical sensitivity aligns. This week, there is good moments for pausing, reflecting, and weighing our experiences, the lessons that we've learned, the insights that have come, the nuggets that have been helpful in ways that we didn't necessarily realize, but also assessing what has been hanging on. Where is the fruit that is either ready to be picked or it's hung on the tree a little too long and has fallen to the ground? As we begin our meditation, I invite you to turn your attention to your breath. As you do so, your natural inclination may be to start to change or alter the breath, slowing it down, increasing the depth of your respirations, or maybe something else. For just a moment, I encourage you to notice the breath, acknowledge the breath, without attempting to make any changes or alterations, as much as you can stand it. Riding the inhales and the exhales as they naturally come. I encourage you to do your best to attempt to not make any judgments on the breath. Just sitting with and acknowledging where you're at this very moment. Breath is a direct connection to your own energetic body. Your breath can be an accumulation of everything that has led you up to this very moment. Every experience, every emotion, every memory and event. Therefore, when you are honoring your breath and the way it sits in its natural rhythm, no matter how that feels at the moment, you are honoring the breath and therefore honoring the process that has brought you to this very moment. After we've taken a moment to sit with the breath, we begin to deepen the inhales and the exhales. You continue to ride along the breath, slowly expanding. Here, allow your only goal to be that each inhale brings in slightly more air than the one that came before it. And conversely, each exhale releases slightly more air slightly more energy than the exhale that came before it. Slowly, you flow with the breath, breathing in, breathing out. Notice what you notice. And if your attention begins to drift, you slowly bring it back. The Capricorn area of our lives is ramping up with an increasing amount of energy. Venus and Mars are working towards a process of resetting, revitalizing and recalibrating their own life force energy. The prana of Venus and Mars, if you will. But before that process completes, Mercury, the one who asks questions, steps forward. The messenger, the questioner, the one who can most easily move between the material world and the energetic world. Many questions are asked in the sign of Sagittarius. But when Mercury here is met through the square by Saturn in the sign of Pisces, there is a question of how deeply am I connected to the questions that I've been asking? Can I feel the emotional connection to that which is at hand? Is it deep? Is it real? Is it raw? Even if it hurts. There's a beauty in authenticity. Are you moving practically within your emotional connections? Not allowing yourself to be detached or overly attached. Mercury meeting Saturn is like your father meeting you at the door before you leave for the day. Do you have all that you need to be successful? Furthermore, do you have what you need to keep yourself safe? Next, Mercury meets Neptune. The one who expands so wide that you can't even tell if what has been expanded truly even exists within reality anymore, or has it been expanded so big that it dissolves into something bigger than we could ever comprehend. The otherworldly messages that make us stop and think. Is there an emotional weight that is ready to be released? What do you truly want to leave behind in 2025? We begin the year with the full moon in the sign of Cancer. Create a safe space for you to grow and nurture from. Saturn is in water, Jupiter is in water, the full moon is in water. Feel into your connections that you are creating. And the ones that you have continued to cultivate, hold on to. They are special and important to you. Hold them tight and snug. At the height of this lunation, may you find a space that you feel comfortable enough to grow from. May you allow yourself to keep moving, taking a step forward, while still allowing yourself to put down the burdens that are just too heavy. So as this year comes to a close, I ask you to consider the mountains you've been climbing. Are they worth the effort? Do you have the motivation to continue to climb these specific mountains? Keep climbing. The message is not to be stagnant, but be sure the space you are occupying is the space for you to be in at this time. Perhaps we don't even know what space we should be in. Or maybe we don't even know the space that we're in. Maybe we can't name it. That's okay. Cancer holds us until we can hold ourselves. And you most certainly can hold yourself. In fact, I want you to spread your arms out wide, cross them over, and give yourself an end of the year hug. Now picture yourself in this own personal embrace, embracing your own energy. Picture yourself standing on your own 2 feet. Or if you're in a position where you can go ahead and do that, stand up tall, 2 feet planted firmly in the ground, embracing yourself, holding your energy while standing tall. This is the way we move into 2026. Embracing ourselves, standing tall, and slowly our arms begin to reach towards the sky, towards our goals, towards our ambitions. And the alignment comes into space. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This year, may you end the year with motivations. May you end the year with plans, dreams, and goals. But may you also end the year in a space of caring, self-nurturing, and softness. With that, we take another deep breath in together and release. One more last deep breath in together, breathing in and release. I think this is a really sweet message this week, that we can keep going, we can feel like we are still progressing, we can feel like we are moving forward, but we can also make space to be soft, to rest, to relax. It's balance of both, right? That keeps us energized and fulfilled and not in a space of burnout. I think it's really easy for a lot of us to get into a space of burnout in this modern world that we live in that is always moving faster and faster and faster. And this is the time of the year that there's just a lot going on. And for some people, there's nothing going on, and that can be a lot within its own right too. So I think giving ourselves some grace here while still standing tall on our own 2 feet is a great space to be in this week. You can see it astrologically as we come into, ending 2025 and moving into 2026. So set your goals, do your intention plans, but also make space to care for yourself, right? So if you have, cleaning that you do at the end of the year, allow yourself to do that, but take a bath afterwards, or have a nice hot drink, or whatever relaxes you. Read a book, right? After getting your things done. Reward yourself for your hard work, kind of like that. All right, thank you everybody. Happy New Year, happy holiday season. I will see you next week in the new year. Happy New Year's and happy week. Take care, everybody. And I'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.